So the languages across all the islands are very different. The closest two are probably Pohnpeian and Chuukese, but that's just in structure. The words themselves are almost completely different. As far as the language, none of the languages there are taught in the MTC. All of them you just learn once you hit the island. You don't even know what island you're going to until you get there and you get assigned one, and the next day you're going there. So I went there. I got my letter in the mission home that I was going to serve on Pohnpei in Kitchi, and I went out there and just plunged right in, starting to learn the language. It was really humbling because you only have an hour of language study, and then you're out teaching the gospel. Something that helped a lot of missionaries out there was reading the selections of the Book of Mormon that we have in Pohnpeian. We don't have it all translated. We only have certain selections of it. But reading those and poring over those and trying to identify words in those and memorizing vocab. They have a little language packet that they've assembled out there. It's actually put together by the missionaries. I and another missionary kind of made the last draft of that, and so use that to learn the language. But the language itself is it's a very spoken language. So it doesn't follow, even after you have it written out. I mean, they were speaking it thousands of years before it was ever written. And so there are some things that just don't work well with how it's written. I can give you a little taste of the language. I'll just give the Joseph Smith scripture. I saw a pillar of light exactly over my head. Ikalangin to urumaraineo, ponangin mangej, memarain sanglingen and ketchukin meke ti alau upoy. Nians memarana upoy, ikalangin to kalap rimen, me lingara or chlori siksang me kakawe ti kaskasin ponangin an wewe. Emini ramasento, malapeya niete, o amasani ni itilang macheo, yech, ni puchakampoke, rongi. So those are Joseph Smith scripture. And that's all translated out. I mean, you can memorize that in a block. But it's a really humbling experience to learn the language, not in the MTC. But I realized that language is not as big of a barrier as we think it is. There was one missionary that exemplified that for me. And he had so much love for the people that without knowing a lick of Pohnpeian, then he was doing his very best to interact with them and to try and share the little bit that he knew and to play with the kids and to be involved in the lessons. And I went on an exchange with him when I was towards the end of my mission. He was at the beginning of his. And he slaughtered Pohnpeian. I mean, he did not know the language, but because of how much love he had and how much yearning he had to teach the gospel and to just help the people whom he was with, every single lesson was just filled with the Spirit. I mean, language is not a barrier to the Spirit, and it's not as big of a barrier as we make it out to be, even as missionaries. So I guess I would say to any missionary going out there, it's going to be tough to learn the language. It's going to take some time, and it's going to be frustrating. But if you'll just go in with the Spirit and with the attitude, with the love of the people, then it won't be a barrier, and you will just be able to make an influence and make an impact right from day one.